Right, yesterday, two highly anticipated conservative efforts in the House didn't make it. The impeachment of the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas fell short by a single vote, and a bill to provide support for our ally Israel in its war against Hamas, which needed two-thirds approval due to its expedited process, to the floor failed by a vote of 250 to 180. Now, probably haven't seen this reported in the legacy media, but neither of these efforts are dead. In fact, I spoke to the Speaker this morning. They'll be back next week. Joining me now to discuss this, Congressman Buddy Carter. He's a member of the House Budget Committee and the House Committee on Energy and Commerce. He represents the 1st Congressional District of Georgia. Congressman Carter, welcome back to Washington Watch. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Tony, always.
We saw the Mayorkas impeachment and the funding for Israel voted down yesterday, and I don't think people realize how significant the razor-thin majority that the Republicans have in the House really is. Walk us through the process and the considerations for bringing these bills to the floor.
Well, and thank you for mentioning the fact that we've got a very slim majority. In fact, I think it's the second slimmest majority in the history of Congress. And really, we can't afford to lose any votes, period, particularly now with Steve Scalise out, with him getting therapy and getting treated. So that even makes it worse. Now, hopefully he's going to be back soon. That'll make a difference. That'll give us one more vote on our side. But what we tried to do yesterday, of course, with the Israeli funding, which I voted for, and it's extremely important. We all understand that. We tried to put it under suspension. We thought we could get the votes that way. Obviously, we were not successful, but at the same time, that doesn't mean it's dead, because now we've got another opportunity to bring it up under a rule. And if we can get that rule passed, then it'll only take a simple majority. And we think that we can get that done that way. Now, as far as the Mayorkas goes, of course, that was a partisan vote. We did lose 3 of our members and came up 1 short. Keep in mind that the vice chair of our conference, Blake Moore, changed his vote from a yes to a no. And when he did that, that'll give us the opportunity for reconsideration. And we'll have that opportunity to bring that up again as well. Probably both of them next week, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I think the plan is for Congressman Scalise, who's been undergoing stem cell treatment for cancer, should be back in the House next week. But the suspension of the rules requires the 2/3 majority of the House to vote. As you mentioned, the funding for Israel, a clean bill of funding, nothing else on it, simply funding Israel, would have to adopt a rule, so then it's a simple majority vote on the House. I know a lot of people were surprised that all the Democrats voted against it. It's pretty amazing that President Biden threatened to veto the measure if it passed. I mean, it's quite amazing to me, Congressman Carter, that this administration wants to fund Ukraine to the tune of $60 billion, favorable toward Hamas, wanting to send more money to them, to Gaza through the United Nations. But yet when it comes to our most consistent ally, this is twice the president has said he would veto a funding measure?
And great points. 2 things I want to point out. First of all, it is obvious. Remember the first bill that we sent over for Israeli funding? It had an offset, and I was really happy to see that offset. And this just shows you that the Democrats are more interested in the IRS than they are in helping our most valued ally in Israel. And that makes no sense whatsoever. As far as Ukraine is concerned, obviously we support Ukraine. We don't want Putin to be successful. But at the same time, I got to tell you, Tony, when I go home and I'm in the district, and I'm in the district quite often, one of the questions I'm asked more than anything else is, how can you justify sending money to another country to secure their border when our border is not secure? And I'll be quite honest with you, that's a difficult question to answer. And that's what people are wanting to know. Why do we continue to send money to Ukraine? Again, we want them to be successful. We do not want Putin to be successful. But at the same time, something's got to be done with that southern border.
Yeah, no question. You cannot help other countries if we can't help ourselves. But this, the funding that's being proposed for Ukraine, I mean, since 2022, when Putin invaded Ukraine, if you add the 60 billion that's been proposed here, we have somewhere in the neighborhood about $112 billion that we've sent. Actually, I think it would take it to 130 in total that we've sent to Ukraine. And you look over the course of our relationship with Israel since 1948, the sum total of everything we've sent to them since 1948 is $160 billion. I mean, that's quite a significant bankroll that we've been doing of Ukraine.
There's no question about that. And, you know, in the bill, the bill that was sent over from the Senate to the House that dealt with immigration, in that bill, I believe there was like 60 billion for Ukraine. There was about 11 or 12 billion for Israel. And there was only 20 billion for the southern border.
Right.
And that was the bill that came over from the Senate.
Well, and it's not really a money issue. It's a really motive issue. Are we motivated to protect that border? And that's an issue that rests on the shoulders of Joe Biden. Very quickly, Congressman Buddy Carter, we're up against a break, but do you think the Republicans will agree on the rule and move forward next week on the Israel funding?
I hope they will. I hope that we will. It's difficult to say. I do know that there are a number of people in our conference who are concerned that there's not an offset for the money going to Israel. But I hope that they will see past that. It's difficult for me, and I will tell you that. But I support Israel. We've got to support Israel.
All right, Congressman Buddy Carter, always great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.